By the way, along these lines, though, like let's contrast it then. Like, basically, what is the aside from people playing badly? Do you actually think like fundamentally FPX misplayed the final, Nelson? Because I actually personally went in like RNG had an amazing run and like there were so many epic games they had to pull out to get through. But I personally thought FPX was going to win this final. Like I thought that the team looks like it's fully all the pieces are there. They know how to play the game. It's going to take some like hero performances from the RNG players. Like, what do you think went wrong for FPX?
No, I think they just panicked or made bad decisions. Like for AD and jungle, I just think like in crucial moments of the series, they made bad decisions to engage or play Malphite like Tristana or like tactical. But I think mainly they panicked, especially in the last game where early in the laning phase where Doinby had the lead, and they should look to like snowball off the lead and see if they can hang on in the game, right? Because they were winning early on, but they went for an early dive and the game was like over after that. Like they could have waited, another 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and use Doinby's advantage in lane to do the same dive again. So I think that was the main issue, and at least for RNG, they played well defensively, and basically FPX only went in, so RNG just took the free win, right?
I think that to me was the most disappointing part of this is that it was an exciting final, and I think it did contain some high level play. But what for me was so disappointing is that I really felt like LWX and Tian were not playing at their best, and that there were situations that those two players caused that basically allowed RNG to take advantage of mistakes they were making and kind of roll to the win. And it didn't matter, for example, how well Noguri was playing because he was playing out of his mind in some of those games. And I really wanted to see more of a push and pull, but it really just felt like a lot of the players on Fun plus Phoenix, Noguri in particular, just couldn't do anything to affect the outcome of the game ultimately. Like it didn't matter how much of a lead he had on Xiaohu in the top lane or how successful he was at turning around like 1v2s or 1v4s even and making it an even situation. He was absorbing a lot of the pressure. But when Noguri is making these plays and like having these really good matchups in lane and getting ahead and drawing so much pressure into the top side, I wanted to see the rest of FPX like doing something or getting a lead elsewhere, right? Because if he is able to go even in those scenarios, surely the rest of the map should be able to take it and like convert that into some sort of advantage. And to me, that's what was lacking outside of game one of the series.
I mean, I think most of the time because RNG, they play really well around top side as well. So if you watch the EDG games and the games in the finals as well, basically top lane is like a 4v1 because,
yes.
I mean, it has always been like a meme in China. RNG only plays 4 versus 1, or four wards and 1 carry. But this time the carry is Xiaohu. So,
what do you think about Xiaohu's swap up into the top lane? Because I would say that what was interesting to me is that in the first series between RNG and FPX, he was kind of a liability, but he played a lot better and had a lot of help in the second series here.
I think in the first series, like RNG, they didn't have a clear idea on how to play for Xiaohu. That's first. And secondly, the drafts weren't that good, so that in a way that even if you help him, he can't actually do anything. But I think for the rest of the series, the rest of the playoffs, they have adapted well. Because I mean, if you have seen the game against EDG, he was playing Nara against Jace, and basically they just 4-man top lane at level 2 or level 3. So you just stack everything for a top laner. And even then, I still think they have a lot of things which they didn't have to show yet.
I like the secret strats that they didn't reveal yet.
No, I mean you can just imagine, right? Like if RNG plays against like whatever you think of Xiaohu as a top laner, right? Like they play against NA or EU, right? NA or EU, they first pick Nar. Yeah, I mean you might be playing against Orianna, you might be playing against Syndra or LeBlanc.
Yes.
Then how are you gonna lane? Because you never played that matchup.
Yeah, exactly. No one's played that. Yeah, of course.
Like the reason why he's so good is the same reason as why Prox was so good in AD before.
Yes, it's the same logic. It's not that they're just going to play the meta champion to be better. So they'll have the picks you can't play, and they know those matchups. And so even if you don't play it, you have to ban it. Like, just think of the edge it gives you in the veto, of course. Yeah.
The thing is, you can't ban it because there's so many, right?
They've got them off the top lane, of course. Yeah, there's a million ideas.
Yeah.
But what do you mean, Nelson? Just play Renekton into everything? I won't start that kind of thing. Let's leave that one to one side. Put that down. Put the gun down.
I mean, blind Renekton is not very common because you can play so many more useful champions compared to now, you know?
It's the way that was always the logic, though. Again, without starting the whole kind of... Their logic always was that thing, what you've like, but it's not that bad into everything, then why blind it? If there's a million answers and a million solutions...
In China, you can play for mid lane, so it's different.
Yes. By the way, that's one thing I know we talked about this last year, Nelson, when we did that LCS episode, but I still can't get over it. If people want to do, so for a moment, I'll humor it and I'll take it seriously. If people want to do the Fion approach, where you're sort of saying, look, how is LCS that bad versus, LCK, LPL? Because look, like, it's similar, right? One area it isn't similar, mate, is go and look in the top lane for the last, I'm going to say, 3 years of competitive play. Here's how the LPL goes in top lane. They play something like 20 champions, and people, depending on how good their team is or what their style of team is, you play maybe just 3 or 4, but then he plays 8, and then they play, In the LCS, every year I watch it, it's like 4 champions and everyone just cycles those. And then people have goal with the 4 to be like, I can only play 2 with them. It's like, listen, I'm Reginald now. You should be working for minimum wage in a McDonald's. Like, what is this? How are you? How is he a pro? I'm going to go the other way, Theon. How is fucking the LCS top laner a pro player and the LPL one's a pro player, mate? That doesn't make any sense.
What I loved about seeing the LPL playoffs too is the matchups actually made sense. Everyone is saying in LCS and LEC, well, where's Aurelia into Gnar or into Jace, or having these preferable matchups, yet nobody has the balls to play it in LCS or LEC. And to make an analogy for you, I really feel like a lot of the times, like you're saying, Thorin, in top lane, it's like, so if you're just at home and you're doing some work around your house, right? You maybe have 1 or 2 screwdrivers, right? And the screwdriver might not be the exact size you need, but you know what? It works kind of well enough. Like, you could sort of like put more pressure on it or struggle with it.
Yes.
Maybe you'll like strip the threads a little bit in order just to get the job done, right? Like one Phillips head screwdriver.
Worst case scenario, you could just smash it like a nail and make it go in money. It's sort of hold.
Renekton is the screwdriver that sort of fits everything, but really is just going to be a struggle to get the job done. Meanwhile, the Chinese and Korean top laners are out here, and they're the professionals, man. They come up and they've got that entire like box set of screwdrivers, and they're sitting there and they're going to measure it out exactly and just pick the exact one to just screw that screw in perfectly. And that's an analogy of difference between like Renekton and the rest of the top lane pool, which you see much more actively in other regions. I would say especially in LPL, because I think LCK like gets into their own head about some of these metas and you just pick Sion 24/7. But yeah,
I mean they play Renekton mid as well, I think, in the LCK. But
occasionally, yeah.
But it's just that it's so easy to play Renekton against, the majors in mid lane. Like, after you have like Merc's threats, the enemy mid is just gonna die.
Is it prioritized though that to be an elite top laner in LPL, like, you have to play a lot of variety? You can't just main 2 champions or whatever.
Yeah, of course. There's no way you can only main 2 champions, right? In LPL, because like if you see this series, like, support got 5 banned, and it happens very often that you just get banned. Like if you remember G2 playing against TL at Worlds, they just banned every single top lane champion, and Impact wasn't playing the game. So you need to have a huge champion pool, especially because a lot of the like so-called meta picks, the blind Gnar, the blind Renekton, you have to punish it. Like, you just pick Quinn. You pick Quinn. If you know how to play Quinn, you can destroy both matchups. But I don't see anyone in the West playing it,
If you're Huni, though, technically you do have surprise picks. You just go at any point in time for no reason. You just smash a glass thing on the wall and go, I'll take Rumble. You're like, that's not even being played right now. You're like, just get it anyway. Just give me it. Dude, he treats Rumble in 2021 like he was like prime faker picking against EDG on LeBlanc. Like, dude, this isn't something like you can't be beaten on it. Like, you've seen you lose a million times.
I have some bad news for you, Thorin. Rumble's probably coming back with the changes.
Sadly.
Like, I mean, I've actually watched the game. I watched the game. Actually, Rumble is good for that matchup against Gangplank, I think, or Gnar. is good against Gangplank on R. But the thing is, Rumble is useless against the 4 other champions. So
There you go. There you go. Damn it! Almost.
Close enough.
What about then? Let's flip over then. Let's talk a bit about Xiaohu then. If we did the whole breakdown before of Doinby, right? I want to get your thoughts on this, Nelson. What do you think of Xiaohu's career generally? Because I'll tell you, as someone who's followed the pulse of the community, he's ran into two problems, mate. One, because he played in Uzi I teams, which were famously, like you said, like the old fucking Dota meme, like 4 protect 1. The premise everyone took from that was everyone else sucks and only Uzi I was the best. So no one sort of credits him for that. And then the other thing I've noticed that he also got fucked from is because he has he is considered one of the king of spring guys like Dade. Well, guess what? Worlds is never in fucking spring, is it? So he always looks the fucking shit in LPL, but so many times at Worlds, it's not he's bad, he just becomes not as good. So unfortunately, I feel like he's one of those players I can always tell the people who don't watch LPL don't really understand what his status within Chinese League of Legends is. What would you say about the career of Xiaohu here? He's now a 4-time champion.
I mean, I think he's known as the, how would I say, the king of Civil War. So every time he plays in LPL, he's gonna win. He's known as the opposite of Xie. Xie always plays well in international. But I think the main issue is, of course, he was too used to playing with Uzi, because when you play with Uzi, your lane doesn't matter.
Yes,
because he's gonna win the game for you for sure. If he can get a hit, he's gonna win the game for you. So your lane doesn't actually matter, right? Because I remember in a playoff game against RNG, which we played against RNG. We had a double kill at level 2 at bot lane, and that was insane for us. And
I appreciate that Uzi I doesn't even attempt, by the way, to pretend like he's a team player. The others, everyone else's conception is G2. G2's like the Avengers, isn't it? It's well, I'm the greatest top laner. Well, let's work together as the greatest jungler. Uzi I is just Thanos. Give me everything, all the power. The power! It's they just deletes the other team. What is this shit? Are there any teammates on your team?
Yeah, and the thing is, so we got a double kill in the early game, and we froze the lane, right? So he was kind of a bad spot. So the next thing which happened was that our mid lane was also winning lane and freezing the lane, and what they did was Xiaohu just gave up 7 CS and walked all the way to bot lane to fix the lane for Uzi.
That's a hero right there. That's a fucking hero. Forgive us listen to this going, see, I told you guys that's the way the game was supposed to be played.
That's amazing.
I mean, come on, if you do that, then of course, you deserve to win. Because the players were shocked that could even happen.
No doubt.
How could the mid lanes just give up with cannon wave and walk bot lane to help AD and support who just got double killed? It didn't make sense for them, right?
There you go. That's how OP Uzi I's team was. He had a jungler that had teleport. He had 2 junglers. One played with him in the lane and one played in the jungle. And then he had another jungler that had mid lane items. Fucking hell. No wonder his team was so OP.
He had another one in the top lane,
And then the joke is, even though this isn't true, just for the sake of the joke, we'll pretend it is. And then what was his ultimate thing that destroyed him? Was it actually the greatest? No, it was Hjarnan. It was one guy going, I play high midding, oh, Jesus, get away from me, please. That fucking pyro meme or whatever from TF2. That's the only thing that scares me. The little glasses. The high midding glasses. That's his PTSD, I'm guaranteeing.
I just love the fact that he has 4 butlers on the map for him that will serve him anything. It's he's down there in bot lane just complaining that his wave isn't quite right. So somebody just runs and fixes it for him.
No, but I think the main thing is all the players agree that, the way we're going to win is to make sure that he's ahead. And I think Xiaohu, the thing is after Uzi left, he was too inconsistent because on one, he could lose to anyone and he could beat everyone, right? Because I remember at the end of near the end of spring or summer in last year, Xiaohu was just 1v5 every game. Every game on Orianna, he could just 1v5, he could just drag his team across the finish line. But at the start of the season, he was losing to everyone. He was losing, getting destroyed by Maple as well, stuff like that. And I think he probably just maybe too bored played mid lane for too long, I guess. And he probably needed some new motivation as well. And RNG had a mid laner anyway. And since they couldn't get the top laner they want, then I think that was the only possible swap they could do.
Also, by the way, even though I actually do personally believe the greatest players and all the roles, have like their own strengths, and you certainly can't say one role is better than the others. I can't lie. Listen, all the other players who play the other roles in League of Legends, you all are looking like mad trash now that like Perks and Zhao, who were just coming and taking all your motherfucking jobs and doing it as well as you and winning the championship. Like, I've been trying to defend you guys for years. Like, no, top lane is a valid role in its own right. AD carry has its own nuances. Like, it doesn't look like it though, does it? Like, these guys are just swapping and immediately win. Like, would you guys put up a fight, maybe, please?
I mean, a lot of the veteran top laners in LPL, they can play the same champions, right? But they still have the same the same mindset.
It's like the ADCs, right? Like Doublelift. Like Doublelift's mentality was, well, why should I play the mages? Because eventually it'll just be AD carry champion, so I won't. I'll sort of like get ahead of it and not. But it's the same thing you're saying. Like, yeah, I'm sure some of these guys, look, top lane has a lot of variety, but yeah, for some reason they also believe in like a meta that you have to play, right?
Yeah, I mean, like some of the players they think like very straightforward, and of course, like some of the coaches as well. Because I think in LPL, most of the playoff teams, the coaches have full control of the team. So basically, the coaches do the ban pick. Of course, you have to prepare it with the team as well, but they have the final say.